Hey, good evening, everybody. Big Brother Canada 9, episode 10. As we enter week 4 here in this season, we're coming at you here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting for this Monday night podcast. I'm Dave Mader, joined with Jaemeel Robinson. How you doing, Jaemeel?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. This was a fun night. This was an interesting development in the season, which has been quite the season so far. And as mentioned, it is Monday, March 22nd, 2021. The 10th episode, as also said, and quite a bit happened tonight. Well, maybe or maybe not. We speculated, Jaemeel. Kiefer's the HOH. We knew this coming out of last Thursday. That was last time you and I had connected on this season, and we speculated. You know, he won't go with these people like in Jedson, Beth, and Ty that all voted not to keep him. They all would have preferred LT to stay, LaToya, over him. Yet in the room right after tonight, we saw he is right in there with the Sunsetters. Were you surprised? He's more loyal to them than to Tarantina or to anybody else.
I spent the entire weekend kind of soul searching about this recent situation, Kiefer winning HOH, and trying to okay, what is the mentality? What is going through this man's mind? Is he gonna go back to the Sunsetters? Is he gonna find a new place in the Oddballs, or is he gonna settle in the middle? You know, just nestle in there with TNT, right? Is it TNTK?
It's just he could have gone with any of these factions, kind of whatever he wants to do.
Right. KTT, maybe a new kit, right?
Perhaps.
Yeah. It just seemed like okay. Like they said his name, no one else did. But then also going through my head, it was like they said his name because they showed loyalty to LaToya over him. The others didn't say his name, not because they were loyal to Kiefer, but because they felt that LaToya was a bigger threat. So it isn't an equivalent situation saying that because they voted for him, they don't appreciate him. And the same way as the other side didn't vote him out, so therefore they appreciate him. It's not equal. It's not the same. We like to think so, but it's not.
Yeah. Well, yes. The thought process, as he says tonight, was something like this.
It's loyal to the soil, loyal to the squad, Sunsetters for life.
He was willing. He's going, I think, also with this mentality, Jaemeel, that the next competition is going to be physical, and that the chance that it's a good chance that this is the Jedson and Ty, or one of the either one of them, even Beth, maybe they're due for a win between the three of them, and Kiefer feels like 2 weeks of them being in power, him and then one of these three next, there's a good shot at it. It's a good lot. There's some logic to this. Like if he thinks that, okay, well, I think that those three, one of them is due to win, probably, but especially between Ty and Jedson, who have been considered to be strong competitors. The whole mood and tone of this game can change dramatically with 2 consecutive HOHs. I think Kiefer recognizes that, but why? But I think he played this HOH tonight, these nominations fine, but I think putting up Ro and Kyle, as we said, even on Thursday, that's easy. That's probably the even like backdoor aside, or if this is truly, he's just putting those 2 up. It's the most straightforward thing to do. It's the most easy thing for him to make a speech against Rohan tonight. He doesn't ruffle feathers too much. Nothing new has been revealed. He hasn't shown anything too significant.
Yeah, and his whole theme last week was like, his Eeyore move, as I keep on hearing people say, was basically like, I'm done with all the manipulating and lying. I'm just going to be straightforward. If I'm gone, I'm gone. And picking those 2 is a pretty straightforward non-type of game. I don't want to say game, but like hugely strategic damn you words move, right? It seems pretty straightforward. Everyone can buy that narrative that he's just going to put those two up. That's it. Easy peasy.
Right. So was this a waste of time, this episode? Or did we learn new things tonight?
No, he played his HOH. It's weird. It was weird seeing it like, what? People going one-on-one or two-on-one and talking to the HOH? Like hearing what they had to say, gathering information. What foolishness is this? This is not how Victoria and Austin played their HOH, where basically it was like a clubhouse that people rarely attended and stopped by maybe to visit, but was never like gathering information, right?
Yeah,
he's
so got weird. the Godfather approach.
I think it's the proper way to play an HOH, right? He wasn't overimposing his will. He gave everyone a sense of, being heard, right? And I think regardless of the direction, people tend to appreciate that type of thing. I had my say. Did he take it? He might not, but like at least I had my shot, as opposed to you felt very like Victoria was very aggressive with her HOH and Austin was just so passive with hers. So it's nice to see a more or less a balance where it just seems rational, right? Working with rational players allows you to kind of feel better footing going in the future of working with the individuals.
Yeah, no, I thought, okay, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think Kiefer, I don't really agree necessarily with him fully. I don't know if I would make the same choices he's making, especially how unwilling to sort of hear out Ro and Kyle he was. But he knows that trying to separate himself from those three and then be a free agent, he knows he's starting from the bottom. But he's already kind of on the bottom. And I think that's why as the viewer, we're kind of frustrated with him going, well, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, Kiefer. So maybe you should just start a new chapter in this game and see how that starts. But he's not willing to kind of throw away this work, this alliance, this clique he has with the other three, the love triangle. I'm not sure with the isosceles and things like that.
That's an isosceles triangle.
What does that mean?
What?
Isosceles.
You never learned about these? There's 3 types of triangles.
There's 3 types. Beth.
What are three types of triangles? Can you name them off the top of your head?
They named 2. There was isosceles. There was oh, sorry. Now I forgot it. I wrote it down. Equilateral, was that one?
Yes.
One that's equal. There's isosceles, and then there's
all sides are equal.
Yeah. Equilateral, right? That's the equal one.
Yep.
That's where all sides are equal. Isosceles is where like it's more like the narrow cone like triangle.
Where 2 sides are equal.
2 sides are equal, and one is not.
Yes.
And then the third kind is just all 3 sides are not the same.
Which is typically a right angle, is it not?
Yes, probably.
Right triangle. Right triangle.
Yes. Maybe I'm like Beth. I'm not good at this either. I haven't thought about it. I
apologize. Math was a long.
But I know the word isosceles. I know it refers to triangles. I don't know if it makes me better than Beth or smarter than Beth.
You could at least get 2 out of the 3.
Yeah, I could probably get 2. I could name, like, can you name a type of triangle? I think I could name isosceles. And we have to break down that
triangles. Oh, they're wrong. There are 4 types of triangles.
Oh, so there's 4 sunsetters then, and sunsetters for life.
Sunsetters for life.
For life.
4 types of triangles. 4 sunsetters are left here. It's perfect. It's poetic. Tina, yeah, and then we have the other alliances here tonight, Jaemeel. We have the oddballs.
The oddballs. We may be a little quirky, but we got the numbers.
Yeah, but well, they're kind of like a Faute situation, I think. That's what they remind me of. And then TNT.
TNT ran their show from the sidelines.
Yeah, they're on the sidelines. TNT, they're the floaters in the middle.
They're certainly not like Dynamite.
No, it's just that these are just their initials. If their initials were something else, we would call them that. But
Aren't they more like the two Muppets and sitting in the balcony, just kind of chirping on what's happening on
There's
the main
Statler and
stage?
Waldorf.
Yes, Statler and Waldorf. They are.
I think that Tina and Tara can fit into that. They just be like, "Hey, let the snakes eat the snakes!" Ha ha ha! They'd be like that.
Love this. Love it.
That was she was trying to play the "Let the Snakes Play the Snake."
That's okay.
Let the snakes fight the snakes.
The snakes play the snakes.
I stand corrected. There are 5 triangles. I'm gonna run it down quickly.
Okay.
There is equilateral trailer, isosceles triangle, a right angle triangle, my favorite, a scalene triangle with 3 different angles. None of the sides are equal in length, and then an obtuse triangle with 3 different angles with one angle greater than 90 degrees. None of the sides are equal in length.
It's 5 kinds, man.
5 kinds.
I thought there was at most. Well, these guys were telling me there were only 3 kinds, and then I found out that it was 4. Now there's 5. Maybe there's even 6.
It's a unique little triangle.
Sorry, isn't it just like the Sunsetters? They have some of the information, but not all.
No. You want some eggs or something?
Want to make just like a bunch of eggs or something?
Eggs and bacon.
Yeah.
Man, you went all out with the sound clips.
I had to. I had a lot of fun tonight in a few specific parts of this episode. Let's break it all down.
Yes.
So the good guy from Hawaii to Guai,
And the good guy from Haida Gwaii,
as he's now known, he survived the block. He's now the HOH. He's been keeping it real. And the question coming in tonight, would he stay loyal? The answer was yes. And there was all this other footage we got early on that was before LaToya had been evicted on Thursday, or I guess a Wednesday, Thursday, where, Beth had been thrown under the bus by Victoria, as we saw, where Victoria is saying, "Oh yeah," and Beth's been throwing your name out. A lot of this was showing how Victoria's game had been unraveling. That as much as we were applauding the way she played HOH, she kind of the only thing I could think here, Jaemeel, tonight is with all these clips we were watching about sort of this was that she was kind of like a spent like shell casing of like she fired the gun and now the load's been fired. There's nothing left. Everyone kind of sees through she spent all her capital maybe in her 1 week. And does she have a future? Can she even go very deep in this game right now? What do you think?
Absolutely. Like, I would want to go with her to the end, because how could you trust anything that this woman says, right? I think she is basically a number, but you're not even you can't even put faith in that number. You're like, I guess it's there, but do you think that she would have she would have a same situation if she was HOH again, or she would learn her lessons and just keep it very straight?
I think we could only expect it to be the same, more of the same if Victoria won again. I don't think she would learn from this necessarily. I think she knew that she had to run around and she lied about this and then she has to lie about that, and then she was being very confrontational with Beth to the point where I was kind of more siding with Beth, and I don't really like Beth. No. But I was kind of like, Victoria, what are you doing? You're playing, just back off. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run, as they say.
Don't you think that last week would have played out exactly the same, minus a whole lot of lying from Victoria? She did not have to go to the lengths that she did to get LaToya out. LaToya was gone. There was the void. That flip was not happening. There was no way they were going to flip, right? Back from LaToya to Kiefer. So I did not understand why she put so much work in for what eventually ended up just kind of making her look terrible.
Yeah, I just think Victoria loves being that she's on TV, and she's the star of last week, and she was the star of this show last week. Now, and she manages to avoid the block, at least tonight. I don't know what happens with the veto. I don't know any of that yet. So we're gonna get to that to spoilers. But there's at least but 2 of our alliance members here sort of end up on things. But she's not. The thing with Victoria is she's not part of a true duo, right? She's kind of a number, and she's a glue member. She's kind of bringing together this oddballs, because if you want to think of Brayden and Austin as a duo, and I guess if Kyle and Roe are a duo, then and Victoria's the fifth member of that group, then she's sort of in a good position or a bad position, depending how you want to look at it, right? Because you're right. Like, why wouldn't you keep around, especially if if those two loses their partner? Victoria is an automatic replacement to that.
Yep.
Right.
And she's so thirsty. She's so thirsty to get someone to like just take her as her. She's like the puppy in the kennel, just like someone's coming by. She's like, me, and she's just like jumping all over the place, and like everyone's like, I don't want the crazed dog there.
I don't think I want this. Yeah, like they said.
I hope this tells you how important it is to keep my name out of your mouth.
Yeah.
The other part.
Like, I would be hesitant to trust Victoria. I think even if I was a member of her alliance, or are you there? My life or your life? Jaemeel? We're having some technical difficulties. Jaemeel. Is anyone there? I'm able to change the titles. Okay, so I have to assume that I'm the one who's actually still on the air. So if you're still with us, we are covering the 10th episode of Big Brother Canada 9. Jaemeel Robinson and I covering this episode, and I'm assuming that I'm the one still in the air, and his connection will be reestablished in a few moments. But we have a comment here from the online competition games saying Beth is the obtuse triangler herself. Yeah, Beth is. Well, I don't know if Beth's my favorite. She's fun in the sense of like this group here with Ty and Jedson, like in this love triangle. And as they said tonight, that they have the crush.
Deshaun and I have been boys since day one. We just happen to have a crush on the same girl.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've never quite seen a love triangle super loyal alliance like this. They might even find a way to do it together.
It's a unique little triangle, but it works for me.
You know what we should do?
Triangle?
Yeah, how do we do it together though?
Ooh. Okay. This is harder to have a conversation with yourself, but if there's any comments out there, let us know for tonight's episode of Big Brother Canada. The HOH Kiefer puts Rohan and Kyle on the block. As we see here, Kiefer staying loyal to his Sunsetter alliance. I'm just going to keep things moving as we are live. Kiefer, Jedson, Beth, Ty, we saw here that they were coming in to talk to Kiefer right off the bat, that he was not feeling as loyal to Tina and Tara after last week. And we also have the whole deal tonight with the have-nots. We saw the savagery here, maybe, if you will, with Kiefer putting Rohan on slop 2 weeks in a row. He really doesn't like Rohan too much. I think it's a little bit. I just find it interesting how much more aggression Rohan seems to receive than Kyle, from in terms of Kiefer, how he feels wronged from the pantry incident, as it's known as. So that was quite something. But I also thought it was interesting to see how. Sorry, I just was. It was interesting to see how Kyle was sort of left out there. Wow, this is harder when you're by yourself. Okay, I keep refreshing, hoping that something's going to change. Hey, Jane. you could come in and join the show for episode 10 of Big Brother Canada 9. I might need a guest. Oh, we have a question here. Okay, send me questions while we're waiting for Jaemeel to come out. Please explains how the have-nots sleep in that room. I don't know. I can't. I like. Do you think that? I think I could sleep in a ball pit, but maybe not with those bright lights on. That would, I think, be. Or would it be harder to sleep in a dark ballroom? I haven't actually watched them sleep on the live feeds yet in terms of how this ball pit works. I think it'd be fun. We had some interesting moments tonight here in this ball pit. We had a whole thing here with Austin and Kyle in the ball pit, which I wasn't quite sure what to read with that. I wasn't sure if it was endearing and sweet or weird and creepy. What do you think? Tell us in the comments and let us know. We had quite a few scenes here tonight with just Ro and Kyle talking. The more I watch these two talk, the more I think that they shouldn't. What was Kyle doing with under those balls? I don't. He was hiding, but did Austin know he was there? She seemed to know he was there, or she was. Maybe did she know he was there when he came in? That was unexpected. I don't know. Jane, what did you think? Was it a creepy moment, or do you think that these two have a showman's potential, Austin and Kyle? Kyle doesn't seem like Austin's type to me. Oh, I think that might be a good sign. Sorry. As Jaemeel may be returning, it's usually a sign that the internet is resetting itself, or the connection with the host is resetting itself. So I'm missing you, Jaemeel. I don't think I can do this show without you. Clearly, because there's so much. I have so many notes, but it's a little bit here. It seemed a bit dirty to me. Jane says, "Was it so?" Jane, you're saying that it was dirty with Kyle and Austin in the ball pit. They were making some dirty euphemisms. They were talking about discussing balls, and there's been lots of ball jokes this year. There's been a lot of love for the balls. Some people just do not like ball pits.
I do not like ball pits.
But with LaToya not there anymore, maybe there's a whole new season on ball pits. Maybe balls are open. We have the oddballs.
The oddballs. We may be a little quirky, but we got the numbers.
They love the balls. They love the colored balls. They can sleep. Everything about them is about the balls. They're a ball friendly alliance, and maybe a little ball dirty. And that's a hot take here, Okay, so let's just kind of keep talking about what we had tonight. Oh. Sorry. We had tonight Kiefer's HOH room session as well, where he gets a letter from his sister. I wish Jaemeel was here especially to talk about this part, because I did not really enjoy this too much. I was like, whatever. Like every week somebody gets a letter from their family member, and I'm not feeling it. I think I have to see the family member on screen. I have to see more of a connection. I think when you just get a letter and there's no photos, there's no context around this loved one, I think it's tougher from a TV perspective to get into it. That's just my opinion. What was up with the Expedia room? I have no idea what's up. That was kind of a whole interesting segment tonight where Kiefer finds this room. Now we've had this secret room in the house for a while, or in the past seasons. It's had different functions over time. It's usually some kind of secret power that will be revealed at some point. Sometimes it's a reset button. Sometimes it's a diamond veto kind of a thing. But somehow Expedia, which is clearly has, they have a sponsorship here. They have a paid placement amongst this season. This room is going to come into play sooner than later. Now, Kiefer, I think he finds the room. He tries to search it throughout, and then he eventually he goes to tell his who he's close to in Ty, Jedson and Beth, but he ends up, I think Braden's there too when he goes to see him, so Braden kind of knows right away, and he has to kind of run around. But other than that, like, I just think that this is a tease tonight, with the Expedia room. It's been sort of revealed how much it's used and how many scenes we'll get in there even this week. I'm not quite sure. They might this might be a bit more of a slow burn. We were talking too about the Roe and Kyle in the OLG room. And then we had Roe and Kyle talking to Ty and Jedson. Now, this was an interesting segment with these two here, but Ty and Jed, they just were not buying what was going. Like Roe and Kyle, I just don't think anybody wants to trust them from the other sides. I don't know if the Sunsetter side and the Oddball side are really going to be able to get past this mistrust that now exists and this aggression and sort of hurt feelings that exists on a few different fronts. But we'll see. It's a long game, and a lot of this can pass, especially in jury phase. And as they're coming to the end, these early days may or may not hold true throughout. I just thought it was a bit. It was like Jedson. I'm like, I think just watching him, if I'm rooting for Jedson, I'm just like, hey, be a little bit more open-minded. I think Ty seems to be kind of following Jed's lead now, especially with LaToya gone. So I think that, and I think people will probably recognize that, which bodes well for me, Jane, because in our draft you have Jedson, I have Ty, and I think that if they're going to go after these two, they'll try to get Jedson out first. We also, what else do we have tonight? Kiefer was in the HOH room tonight with Roe and Kyle. Obviously, these are the two that he'll eventually put on the block. So this conversation kind of goes as expected, where he's like, how he was wronged and how Kiefer, everything coming out of their earlier confrontations that have happened in this game is clearly coming to a head here with Kiefer now in power. And I imagine like one of these two is in power next after Kiefer. It could be quite something to see that play out. We also, we get this Taratina conversation with Kiefer in the HOH room as he was, rotating through. I love getting information. He talks about, he's scared to put up Austin and Braden here when he talks to Tara and Tina. I don't know why he explains it in the show, but I'm not quite following why it was so difficult to consider putting up Austin Braden. I guess because he feels that there's a high capacity one of them wins the veto. I haven't seen Braden give a good chance of winning anything yet, so I don't know if Braden's so much of a threat. Question here. Oh, we have a call coming in. Yes. Hey.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. Are you coming back?
Well, I thought I was still on the air.
Are you on the air? And I'm not on the air, and I've been talking to myself to the left. Okay.
Yes.
You just disappeared.
You disappeared. I think I'm pretty sure I'm on the air because Jane's asking me questions, and yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna reset. Wow. Okay.
I thought the same thing. I wasn't sure if I was on the air and you were on or whatever, but yes.
All right, reset.
All right. Okay, so that was Jaemeel, who you know from this show. And so he thought he was the one that was still on the air and I had been disconnected. And I thought I was still the one on the air and he was the one that was disconnected. And I think I'm the one. I think that's actually true in my case. But we got to get back to the question here. This is an important show. Did Braden talk tonight? I don't think I heard Braden really talk at all. I saw him on the show.
Love this. Love it.
Yeah. Did Keith make a mistake staying with the triangles? It will all depend on who wins power next. I think that's what he's betting on. He's betting on the fact that he thinks that Ty and Jedson and maybe even Beth are due. Of the three of them, there's a good chance that the next HOH is more physical. They have a good chance of winning it. They're hungry to win it and prove themselves. And if that rings true, him being loyal to them this week will be very good for him down the road. However, if Austin wins next, or even especially if the survivor of Roe and Kyle, if that ends up being the target this week, I think that Keith did not make the right move here at all, and he won't be long for this. So he's kind of doubling down. But I understood the logic of, if I have to restart my place in this game, if I turn my back on Ty, Jed, and all them, then people will still look at me and say, well, he'll just turn his back on me when it suits him, which I think he knew was kind of his reputation maybe early in the game, because he was kind of overextended trying to be aligned with everybody. We are still on the air, right? I think we're still on the air. So, Jaemeel, I hope you're able to come back. Let's keep going here on Big Brother Canada 9. I did like this line tonight where Kiefer says, "I do not want to hang out with these people any longer. I want to get them out of here." That was very good. We also had Victoria and Kiefer have a conversation here. The last week HOH and this week's HOH, and whether these two have mutual respect for each other or not. I think so. I mostly read into this that, I think Kiefer knows he's not aligned with Victoria, and I think Victoria understands this too, but that they are not necessarily enemies or directly each other's targets in the immediate future. However, Kiefer he doesn't owe anything to Victoria. He's been on the block under her, and just because he stayed doesn't mean he owes her anything back. But Kiefer's read tonight here, in that the duos of the real danger is quite poignant. He doesn't have a duo. He's a member of Alliance. He's teamed up with this trio, the Triangles, or the Love Triangle. But I think he's like, if I can weaken Kyle and Roe, or whether it's Tara and Tina, or it's Austin and Braden, whatever. It doesn't. I think Kiefer knows that any of those kind of things would behoove him to see forth. Jane's asking here, when was the last time you saw so many couples in a season? I feel like this is not that uncommon. Couples, it all kind of depends, because in a 16-person season, you can often see a lot of showmances rear their head, and so therefore I feel like you often kind of see people have their respective ride or dies. But to see them sort of overlapping, there's sort of like clusters here, and people are pretty cemented more in this season than in the more recent memory, because the sides haven't been as clearly defined, and it's been big alliances for the last few seasons. But what I found for the last few seasons is that there is sort of like a big alliance, and then there's all these other people who think they're in the big alliance but aren't. So there's a sort of a core alliance, and then there's this outer alliance that thinks that they're kind of in with the in-group, and then their ranking is higher than it is. And then there's just these people on the outside that are completely targets and are sort of the early pickoffs. But that tends to be how it is. There's usually somebody at the center of that, like a Paul Abraham, or somebody who's going to kind of just control the network of the alliance pretty firmly, and say sort of, this person is next, this person is next. And there's almost like a cult sort of thought process to it. This is different. Here you have Austin in particular, and Victoria leading sort of this counter to that, which is what has thrown these triangles off in the Jedson, Ty, and Beth, that they expected to sort of run the game from the inside. I think with LaToya being their godfather figure, to be sort of the central strategist, but also like the head of the snake, that would be like that they would always come for LaToya before them. So, but Victoria kind of turned that all upside down last week, and good for her. But that's That's it. I'm just gonna kind of see what's going on with Jaemeel because I thought he would have been able to reconnect by now. Any luck? Sorry. I don't know how long I've been on here by myself. I think at least for 13 minutes or so. This is tougher. Anyway. Kiefer took Tina to Wendy's. Yes, good casting this season, Jane, as they're not falling into the same pattern. Well, yes, I'm excited. Every episode's kind of fun to watch this week. You know, even though I wasn't super thrilled with what Kiefer did tonight, I understood it, and I think that it's as good of a move to do as any if you're him. We got the video from Kiefer's girlfriend tonight. Her name is Jericho, I believe. She seems very lovely. We got to see his kids. This whole thing where he took Tina to Wendy's, and it's interesting that their relationship has fallen apart so much, or is drifted, as Tina's definitely formed more of a strong bond with Tara in the TNT alliance, and Kiefer, who we thought was going to be with them, with Tina and Tara, doesn't quite want to. He'd rather be with like the younger crowd of that. Jaemeel just texted his network is down and he's talking to Rogers. Okay, so he's I may be on my own for the rest of this hour. So keep the questions coming if you think of anything. The triangle conversation, the love triangle I've already spoken to, but I thought it's a lot of fun. Kind of see how this plays out. We also have this vote tonight with the skip the dishes, save the have not. And I think that this only is good if you have a situation tonight with Rohan where he was sort of put on the in the have not group, or he is a have not, I suppose is the way to say it, for 2 weeks in a row here. Whereas he kind of volunteered last week, but this is kind of like a punishment and continues this theme of Kiefer hates Rohan and will never forgive him ever for his role in the pantry incident. So yeah, like it was will Rohan be the one saved from being a have not is my question. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. And we had the Expedia room, we covered that. This whole discussion we had tonight too, there was Beth, Ty, and Jedson kind of talking about they were assuming that Kiefer was in their corner, and that it was kind of weird that they had voted to keep LT over him, but that they still thought that they had him, and as we've talked about, that seems to actually be the case. But who do you get out first? Is it Austin or is it Victoria between these two? And Ty really feels that Austin is the bigger threat of the two. And I think that's true. I think that Austin is the bigger threat, and sort of removing Austin would serve that. But they don't really understand. They don't really know for sure who is the brains of the operation, if there is one, who is the mastermind. So it's a bit of a thing. Okay, I'm just gonna say, Jaemeel, I am here. Okay, I'll keep going. Try for spoilers. Question from Jane: why did Kiefer believe Kyle's apology was genuine? I don't know. I actually think it's the reverse. I don't think he believes Kyle any more than he believes Rohan, or he does believe both of them, or he doesn't. Hey Dave, you okay? I'm not. I could use someone to talk to. I'm going. But run out of steam. That was a late night tonight. So yeah, but like back to Jane's question, why was Kiefer like more willing to accept Kyle? I just think this is the way I haven't fully figured out how Kiefer thinks, but he seems to, because Rohan I think is a smaller guy and not as big in stature as like Kyle, for the same reason he wants to stay loyal to Jedson and Ty and that crew. I think is the same kind of thing. There's this thing that Rohan's just not good at apologizing. I think Rohan has a hard time admitting he's wrong, and I think Kyle maybe is just more endearing and honest, or seems more sincere on surface level, perhaps. I just haven't, like, Rohan is sort of this guy that I haven't quite figured out. Like, a lot of people seem to really enjoy him and like him as a person, such as Tara, but other people really don't seem to like Rohan, conversely, in the house, and he seems to be a bit of a polarizing player. So whether or not he can actually win this game, I think, is highly suspect. What else? We talked about Austin and Kyle in the ball pit. We had Kiefer talking to Rohan about the whole thing. I thought that this whole conversation, quite right before nominations, with how hard Kiefer was going to Rohan, and then eventually Kiefer's speech against Rohan, which Rohan said he didn't like. Why would you? But yeah, I thought it was a bit. I just feel like it's a bit. I'm not quite with you, Kiefer. I'm not quite following you. Why you're going in this direction, other than, okay, my target's Roe. I'm gonna get Roe out this week, and that's it. And then that's the only way it kind of makes sense to me, strategically speaking. He gives this other thing in his speech about how stories are just as valuable as promises in this game, that they're not. And I thought that this maybe was, Kiefer has some of these one-liners sometimes, and you go, whoa, what does this mean? Or makes you really think. What stories are just as valuable as promises? They're not. So that's quite something to digest, and just to, that. So was Kiefer never sorry when he always said he was sorry? That he was is he just faking it? Like, I think that just makes me question his motivations, or whether he's being truthful, because he's so harsh to put it back on everybody else, versus owning his own things, which he kind of does and he kind of doesn't. It's I'm not sure, as if I was in the house, how I would interpret it in his case. I think I would like it. I think I would accept it, because I think I'd want to like Kiefer. But as a viewer, I'm struggling with it a little bit, just because he seems so all over the place. And then Rohan and Kyle are officially on the block, and that's the end of the episode. And that's all I know. I don't even know what's in the spoilers, guys. Jaemeel was going to inform me at this point. I've been going 43 minutes. I don't know what to say. Actions are all that matter in BB. Well, I think actions are the only things people are always remember. I think all Big Brother players have this training to come in and try to memorize. Okay, on what day did this person get evicted? On this many votes were cast against so and so in week 3. They have to memorize these things, and I think always noting who is the one vote who goes against. Votes being an action you would remember. Actions, I think to a lot of players, like, actions are also results, in terms of winning HOHs, winning veto competitions, things like that. So who you choose to put on the block, who your nominations are, these are actions, versus like what you say, like, oh, I would never come for you, I would never want that. And Kiefer, I thought, quite appropriately said, everybody's gonna tell me that they would never have put me on the block. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but I'm the HOH, that's what everyone's going to want to tell me, because they think that's what I want to hear. And so but that can't necessarily be true for everybody. Maybe not. Are they all that matter? I don't think that they are all that matter, but I think that they should be, like, in terms of your hierarchy and how you make your decisions, I think that they should be right up there. Okay. Well, I don't know. Any other questions? This is hard. So I think I'm going to call it a night. Oh, we got one more. There's a delay. There's a delay here. Would you like to see an all-star US and Canada combo season? Who would win? I would like to see that. I think the Canadians would destroy in a combo season, but I think it would largely be divided across national lines. Oh, I think Jameel's back. Not to say your question, but well, actually, let's come back in. Are you with us, sir? I have no audio. He's un momento. Can't hear you yet. I see your lips moving. No. Would you like to see an all-star US Canada combo season? Yes. No? He does. Jaemeel doesn't want it. Did he? But who would win? Canada. We would win. I think we would win too. There's see, like, you're here now, but like it's I can't actually speak to you. I can speak to you, or you can't speak to me directly.
Sorry, I had to run off the Rogers person. I'm like, we need to end this call right now. I need to go back and finish this video. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
I was talking for a good 15 minutes about the episode. All right. And I'm like,
yes.
I see one comment, which was online competition games. And I was talking about that one specific question for
this
that
one?
15 minutes.
Yes. The obtuse triangles?
Yes.
Okay, because we both did the same thing where we both assumed we were the ones still on. And so I wasn't quite sure, but I was relatively confident once I started like getting more questions from Jane. That didn't come for a few more minutes. So I'm glad you're back.
I usually get an icon saying that my internet is down, and that icon did not switch off. So I'm like, it says I still have internet. I'm still getting a Wi-Fi signal. So that means my box is still up. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, let me try. I'm gonna I am you. And then I'm like, wait, it's not working. It's not going through. And then I'm like, no. And then I refreshed and I learned the truth.
Yeah, it was like, okay, what I learned in these last how many 20 something minutes, Jaemeel, is like, I can't do this by myself. I am not trained for it. I don't know how to have the conversation with myself.
You don't know how Taryn does it.
I don't think I would like to learn the art of this, but I think it just comes down to further preparation.
So, but you're so prepared though. That's the crazy thing. You have notes. I don't have notes. I more or less react and remember stuff. So I'm there like, I think this is what happened next.
Yeah, I kind of write down this is what happened, or this is sort of the order of the scenes, or what I thought was notable. But then when I get to it, I'm like, what did I think of this, or what's my question on this? But I'm used to the banter, so I'm glad you're back. I don't know where we pick up, because I did talk about this episode for the last 20 minutes. Kind of,
I agree with what 100% of what you said. 100%.
You heard some of what I said, or no?
No, I didn't. But
no. But I
know you, and you are a very learned man of the game.
Oh, thank you.
A lot more than the people who are currently playing the game. So therefore, at the very least, what you're saying is logically sound.
Thank you. I was trying to be logical about it. Okay. Well, there was a couple questions that came through, so I'm going to hit you rapid fire here. Okay. Explain to us how they sleep in that have-not room.
It's like, remember, there's still the ball pit still has things on the ground. It's not a hard surface underneath. That's why you see Kyle just kind of resting there. right? It's still soft, because if you're jumping in the ball pit, if it's a hard ground, you're gonna hurt your legs, right?
But would you suffocate under those balls?
No, there's enough airspace. Like, unless the ball goes directly over your mouth and plugs in your holes, it's not gonna
happen. There you go. Okay, next question. What was Kyle doing under those balls tonight with Austin?
Maybe he was playing with balls. No, he was basically just chilling there. To
Was
me,
he being dirty?
I don't think he was being dirty. Although, a lot of house guests might want to think about using that as a place to do some business, because they often try sneaking in the bed, and the cameras do a really good job of picking it up. That being said, does not the ball air pit just scream like Tony should be there with his spy shack?
Yes,
Right?
it's kind of like that. But speaking of which, we also had this thing tonight with the Expedia room. And this whole, what is this? Like, is this going to be like where they have some power that's going to reveal itself at some point?
Of course it's going to be. So before, like, just like the ball pit, where they're like, what's the ball pit for? Is there going to be a trick to the ball pit? They're not going to reveal a twist in the game unless it's like set up. So they set it up and then they do the twist. There's a kind of like an awareness that something is happening, or people discover a room. The room is available and anyone could come across it. The room is available. Now the twist is about to get set up. But, like, honestly, I have a quick question to you. Do you really want to see a twist at this point?
I don't think we need it.
Exactly. I agree. We don't need a twist. Everything seems to be going. We're not getting one side versus the entire side of the house and just steamrolling them. There's back and forth. People are moving around. It's a lot more of a fluid game. This is the game that US has been praying for years, and it's just fallen into our laps. This is great.
Yeah, like I'm with you on all things, but yeah, like I just hope whatever the power is, I hope it comes to the right person. Like I hope it comes to like Tara or something like that. You know, someone who like not like not maybe like these juggernauts who are sort of
No,
at the heads of
Victoria.
things.
Let Victoria have the power.
Let her have the power, sure. I guess who don't I want to have that power? Even Beth, give Beth the power. See what she would do. Speaking of which, question also was: did Keith make a mistake with going with these sunsetters, triangles, whatever they are?
If he thinks that's going to be the alliance is going to take him to the end, that is the mistake. But for now, and only for now, sure, why not?
Sure. Did Braden talk tonight?
I think when Kiefer introduced the Expedia room, he said some words.
I think I mentioned earlier that I think that Braden just happened to be there when Kiefer went to run to tell Ty, I think. And I think that you didn't really told Braden at the same time. Otherwise, Braden would not have been on the show tonight, other than to say he's in a couple with Austin. Right?
Yes.
Speaking of which, what Jane said, when was the last time you saw so many couples? But I think it's couples or pairs or whatever. I think it's fairly common, but
there's always couples, there's always pairs, but the alliance isn't as secure as it is in other shows, where there'd be a group of 6 and it'll be a couple of couples, maybe 3 couples, or it might be 2 couples and a third couple that's really a throuple, really, where one person is seemingly a pair with another person, but not all 3 of them together. That's typically what we get. But in this case, we have pairs, and it's just really evident that they're all kind of separate, but it's like voting blocks.
Trust clusters.
Trust clusters, also a good term to use in this current situation, because it doesn't really seem, the oddballs don't seem as tight of a cohesive crew as the sunsetters are, regardless of how the throuple treats Kiefer. They seem like a tighter foursome than the oddballs are in any of their pieces.
Yeah,
right?
agree
I
with
don't
that.
feel like Braden and Austin are like even remotely close with Kiefer, not Kiefer, but Kyle and Roe, or Tina and Tara, or Victoria, right? Where's the Glossy Posse? Glossy Posse doesn't look like a thing anymore.
The Bossy Glossies.
Bossy Glossy.
The Bossy Glossies. Who was the third member? Well, that was Victoria, Braden, Austin.
Yeah, not a thing.
Well, like I think that Braden is sort of this player. I don't know what to make of him yet, at all. Now this is the other thing that came out was our actions all that matter, and this was directly more related to Kiefer's quote that he used in his speech tonight, which I don't have a soundbite for, but he says that sorries are just as valuable as promises in this game. They're not. And that's kind of what prompted the question here of are actions all that matter in Big Brother? And so, is it about who you nominate? Is it just about who you say with vetoes and who you vote for?
No, I think there are actions that are just as useless. Like, how valuable was Brohan voting for Kiefer, right? That wasn't a valuable move in Kiefer's eyes. That was like, it was a circumstance that he ended up voting for Kiefer to stay, right? Not an intended move as like, I value Kiefer and I'm going to keep him. So that action doesn't hold that much value. And just like how many times people say sorry or promise something doesn't entirely hold a lot of value as well in the house, because people constantly go against their word. People constantly say sorry and then turn around and do the exact same thing all over again. So I think what he means is intentions and ramifications are the real value of what's happening in the house, and that's what's going to be remembered, not what Victoria said, but what Victoria meant and intended to do, and what was the result of what Victoria did, not the action itself.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's I agree with that. On as a premise, yeah. Okay. It's getting a little bit late. We've on just for an hour, and I do want to get into the spoilers. So, if you're okay, let's get into it.
Let's hit it.
Let's hit it. Let's hit him. All right, let's get into the spoiler section. So, Jaemeel, I know nothing. What's happened?
So, we know who the nominees are, and Power Veto comes up. The Power Veto players, and I'm doing this off memory because my phone wasn't set up, was Roe, Kyle, Austin, Tara. And
Roe, Kyle, Toss, Tara, Austin. Okay.
Yes, I think I got all the people involved. Now, the conversation was amongst the players was that the people who like Austin and Tara was saying they were going to throw it. They were going to throw it so that Kiefer has to put up someone else. So what ends up happening is Roe wins Power Veto, takes himself off. Kiefer then turns around and puts up Austin. So Austin and Kyle are on the block.
Interesting. Okay, so the war's on. This is just retaliation for last week, and
Austin is the pawn because he wants
Kyle's
to get
the target.
Out. But
yeah, well, I think
the remaining Sunsetters want to get Austin out. You hear them gunning for it. Kiefer has let his intentions known, saying, "Please, Kyle is my target," because he feels that he does hear what Roe says, and thinks that if Kyle's gone, he and Roe can kind of make amends and go forward as a pair themselves, right? He doesn't feel the same way about Kyle. Plus, at the same time, Kyle is a stronger threat, and it looks like he's kind of making inroads with other people, as opposed to just the two of them. Roe and Kyle have been very isolated for the most part. Now, Kiefer does like Kyle more than Roe, but recognizes that his path to the end isn't with Kyle. which is good. Like he has that understanding that, you know what, I might not like him as much, but I can see me going further with Roe than with Kyle.
Okay, well, I can't disagree with any of the logic there that Kiefer is going through. I think that like especially when you have when Kyle's an original nominee, especially if one of your nominees comes down like this, I think you always want the original nominee almost unless you have like this great backdoor plan to go through. Now, but what here's the question though: will these Sunsetters honor what Kiefer wants? Because while it's best for Kiefer's game, I think if you're Ty or if you're Jetson, I would say it's maybe better to get rid of Austin. She's
And
won
yeah,
HOH
and that's the problem why the Sunsetter situation has to be for Kiefer a temporary one, because time and time again we see it not even on like just the live feeds, we see it on the show itself where they usually do a better job of cleaning it up. They don't respect Kiefer. Like anything Kiefer does, which is like win a competition or anything, it's like met with like, wow, good for you, I didn't really expect it from you.
yeah.
Right, which is like a kind of patronizing tone that they give him. And I don't know if he sees it, but me as an audience member sees it, and I'm like, I don't want him to tie his game to members that don't appreciate him, don't value him. He has done more for that Sunsetters team than a lot of the other ones who have seemingly have talked big and have done nothing. Right?
Yeah, well,
Done
Ty's
nothing.
definitely done nothing.
Like, has Beth been in any competition?
Beth has done nothing. Jed's won one veto, right? And
Yes. That Austin nearly won.
That Austin nearly won.
Yeah.
So like, but their hubris and their confidence does not go away. But why? What I don't know like what to make of Kiefer sometimes. How loyal is he actually? I think he does recognize that he's at the bottom of these Sunsetters. Whether he's actually just playing this like he's using them, or if he's
Sunsetters for life.
he's easy for life. Is this his crew now or whatever? I don't know how much of it's like those are his friends and how much of this is strategic. I can't quite figure this out.
You don't have to be loyal in this game to one group. You can be loyal, right, to a multitude of people throughout your time in the game, right? Have they shown loyalty to him? Not
No.
really. So I don't understand why he feels that there's an obligation. You can, if the team splits up, like, who says that the Sunsetters are any less Tina than they are Beth, right? He can be with Tina and them, which he kind of is. He has another alliance with Tina and Tara.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to take a wild stab in the dark about the name of this team: Tina, Tara, and Kiefer. You're gonna be wrong because it's so awful. There's no way that anyone else can think of this being an actual like alliance name.
QTT.
No. It is the pre-90s.
Oh no.
Yes. Oh yes. It's so terrible. Like, come on. Pre-90s.
Well, because they're the only three not born in the 90s, or
yes,
or even later. Are there kids in this house that are born like after 2000? I guess there probably are.
Yeah. So just a clarification concerning the Power Veto players. So the people played were Jedson, Austin, Beth, right, with Rohan and Kyle. Okay, so now, even though Austin was technically an all-bod player, Jedson and Beth wanted to backdoor Austin, so that's why they were like, "Hey, to Kyle and Rowe, we'll throw it." The reason for that is Kyle and Rowe, throughout many of the weeks, have thrown out like a lifeline to Ted and Ty and Jed, saying, "Hey, we should team up. We shouldn't go after each other." They keep doing that every week. So, with the thought process of, hey, instead of getting rid of either one of those two guys, we really want Austin out. and knowing that Kiefer has said like his replacement is gonna be Austin, that's why they threw it.
Yeah, and but I think on the surface too, it's like, okay, well, Kiefer is fully loyal to them, and if the Victoria side, the Braden side, wins power next week, which I sure hope they do, I think that like seeing how they are going to how Kiefer reacts to that, how the other three react to that, is going to be very interesting to see what they do when they're not in power.
I think if Kyle goes home and let's say Austin or Braden wins HOH, I don't think Kiefer's going up. I don't think he's going to go up because I think he put in enough work and had enough conversations that Austin was not his target. It's always been Colin Rowe, and that's who he took a shot against.
Well, I think if you put Kiefer up, it's kind of a waste because like if you put up Kiefer and any of the other three, then those two are voting to keep the person who's not Kiefer. The two that are left off the block are votes. You know, like if it's Beth, if Beth is the nominee, then I think Kiefer and Jed both vote to save Beth over Kiefer. You know, and all those three combinations because they have the love triangle.
You have to.
Deshaun and I have been boys since day. Deshaun and I have been boys since day one. We just happen to have a crush on the same girl.
That's how it goes.
It's very interesting that you talk about that because I have a piece of news that I heard. I didn't hear this specifically, but Beth has been talking to, I believe it was Austin and Braden, and was mentioning how interesting how people who are the same size aren't necessarily the same size, right? And she was referring to Jed and Ty. And you know what I mean by the same size?
Well, how would she know? How could she know?
How could she know? Well, so when people say they're an obtuse triangle, I'm like, it's more like a tripod. I mean, what's going on? It just seems so weird. And I'm not going to shame like people's game or anything like that. They're all grown adults for the most part. But like another reason, Kiefer, they ain't going to choose you over Beth. You are strongly.
And Ty and Jed are okay with like I don't know. Are the three are they like a thing? The three of them, are they like a romantic
a poly couple?
Are they a polyamorous showmance? Are they the first in the history of Big Brother?
Like
I'm not judging. I'm just trying to understand what's happening.
Really interesting, and it's a good way to cement. That being said, if you're comparing one to the other, and news gets back out to one of the two, you would feel a certain bit of ways that someone is talking about what should be more or less a private situation between the three of you, right? So Beth shouldn't be flapping her lips about that, I think.
Yeah, well, I think that they're let's see how this goes because you never know. But it's a very new development in the game, so very interesting. Yeah, so Kyle and Austin. I would rather see Kyle go from an entertainment standpoint, from a TV standpoint. I think that I'd rather see Austin stay between the two of them.
Although Austin needs to start playing as opposed to being very passive and just trying to kind of win comps. What's Braden doing, right? Is Braden gonna wake up and stop? He's like socially present, but like strategically, like is he a part of the game? Could he just be the neighbor like Dr. Will last season in 22 and just kind of hanging out in his bathrobe? Because that's more, it looks like he's just Austin's friend. That's who Braden is in this game.
Yeah. Well, just like Rohan is Kyle's friend or vice versa. But yeah, Braden doesn't even get lines on the show. They have to do things like have him win sushi, don't skip the dishes, and dress up like a big OLG lotto ball.
He's not in the slot this week, so it's like, where's his Braden appearance?
Yeah, what are we gonna do with Braden? He can't be saved from slop. His whole thing is about food. Everything about Braden is about food and him cheering on other people. But
That's it.
yeah.
Okay, that's it in terms of spoilers of major news. But come Wednesday,
Okay.
we should have a whole slew more of information.
Well, hey, I mean, I'm excited to see how this plays out. I'm just trying to figure out how this vote would go. Like, who's going to want to be a vote for Austin versus Kyle? But we'll talk more about that Wednesday and really how that's. We'll have more information by then in terms of how this is actually going to shake out and the episode itself. But hey, what a roller coaster this is, and if anything, it's not been dull. It wasn't like this podcast tonight where you had to listen to me for about 20 minutes just trying to talk to myself
And you guys missed out on a great bit of commentary on me on the no internet feed version of this show, which is gone forever into the ether. It's gone.
I think that's the biggest tragedy of them all. So it's but that closes the book tonight for the fourth week for HOH nominations for Monday, March 22nd, 2021. And the 10th episode of this season. Okay, so hey, I'm exhausted. I need to get off. And thank you, Jaemeel. Thank you to Jane for all of the questions. Thank you to Online Competition Games for the questions. And we appreciate you you following along with us. And we hope you'll be back with us Wednesday and Thursday this week as we cover those next two episodes. And for the rest of the season, we want you always to be here. Oh, while we're on the air, let's plug our other shows. Live Long in Podcast is our other channel with Star Trek related stuff. We have Tuesday nights. We have Star Trek Deep Space Nine rewatches. Those are fun. Yep. We're in the third season. We're going to be here tomorrow night covering the next episode, which is called The Abandoned, which is about like a Gemini baby. On Wednesday, we're going to be covering an original series episode with my dad, which is going to be this week, The Lights of Zatar, which is the next, which is the third, like a third season episode. So we watch all those episodes like not in order. And on the weekends, we do this fun thing called Star Trek Radio Theater, where we cover like a different episode. We do like our script read from that episode with like our friends. And so here, let's just bring this up quickly. This is going to be this Saturday night. We're going to be doing Bride of Chaotica with the Live Long and Podcast players. But plus we had special guest star Dylan Gonzalez, who's a longtime friend of all of us, playing Satan's robot, as well as Rob Ricardo's roles in The Doctor and the President of Earth. So really excited. I'm going to be Dr. Chaotica. My wife Jane's going to be Queen Arachnia, also Janeway. So if you're a Captain Proton, a Voyager fan, just want to hear some fun, a script read, why not? Check that out on Saturday night. Plus, we've covered all kinds of other Star Trek shows, movies. If there's a Star Trek episode, good chances are we have an episode to go along with it, what we thought of it at the time and when we watched it. And Trivial Debates.
Yeah. Oh yes, Trivial Debates.
Trivial Debates is coming up on Sunday. Or is it the Sunday? Yes, it is. Eamon Mader, new associate producer. He's trying to figure out what that next show is going to be. So he's working on getting that together with some ideas tomorrow. So I'll be collaborating. We'll be getting a host in place. We get some questions. I know the end of the month really snuck up on me, but we do that every month. We have like a debate show where we argue about movies, TV, sports, and more. And that's it. That's it for all of our plugs and shows, and we appreciate it. And thanks for sticking with us tonight. Okay, until then, remember, it's here.